Oh,
There we go.
no. There we
Good.
going. It took us a different way today. So they may hear our voice. I don't
Oh,
know. Well, we're waiting so we can see it go live.
okay. Looks good to
Ah,
me. I hear noises.
It
I
says it's
see a black, all I see is a
the
black
video is
screen.
streaming live on YouTube.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
right
yeah.
Oh,
on.
no.
This meeting is now
There we
streaming
going.
live. Yeah.
Took us a different way today. That
so
went straight. Oh, now here's my voice.
Oh,
I don't know. I got you. No. Well, we're
It's
waiting.
live on YouTube. I see that up there. Yeah.
Well, I don't see it on my screen. That is a problem. There we are. Oh
There's
my gosh.
Producer. My producer is
what?
here. Do you see us?
Yes.
Oh,
You know, everybody, I have to tell you, there is something mysterious going on. And it's
Oh.
not from Mysterious Universe. It was
No.
happening here on my computer. But it
Okay.
is time for What in the World with Paul
Paul
Seaburn.
Seaburn. Hey, hi everybody. We are here. Believe it or not.
Wow.
You got a little taste of our little world, a little obscure world that we live in before we become podcast celebrities here for an hour a week. Well, thank you so much, Karen. Thank you to everybody who's joining us at What in the World on newclevelandradio.net on Tuesday, January 11th. We are in 2022, so there's no turning back. I'm here with Karen Hale, our producer, media mogul at newclevelandradio.net, home of all the best podcasts, and John DiNallo, our co-host and color commentator. Hi, John.
Hi, Paul. Hi, Karen.
Hey.
Welcome. We're definitely live. I heard it from
Yes, we are here.
my home producer who said, "What are you guys waiting for?" So I've heard that before. I've heard that enough times to know that I'm supposed to be talking. So that's what I'm doing here. You're here at What in the World to get the best in weird news from around the world. Our motto is real news, sometimes strange, always funny. That's what we try to do for an hour a week on YouTube, on newclevelandradio.net, on Apple, on whatever podcast platform you pick us up on. Remember, we're free, and please remember, whatever platform you're on, especially YouTube, to like us and to subscribe. It costs nothing to subscribe, so please do that, because that helps us better know who we're talking to, where everybody is. We get viewers and listeners from all over the world on What in the World, and we really and truly do appreciate that. We try, when I hear of somebody that I know or that is from another country, I always like to give you a shout out. So if you'd like to have one of those, let me know on Facebook. Let's see, what else? Let's get all the plugs in. I am the editor and head writer at mysteriousuniverse.org, where some of these stories come from. I tend to do more paranormal stuff here. On What in the World, we try to keep things weird and fun. So that's our goal. And weird and fun is what we've got lined up today, Karen and John and everybody out there in podcast land. Today, this is my hottest story on Mysterious Universe. Today, flat Earth people are getting out of flat Earth and moving to the donut Earth theory. So we're going to talk about that.
Oh my gosh. Donut theory. Oh.
The donut theory. Just hang on, John. I know. Don't get hungry here. I don't want you wandering off for snacks.
Are they from Joe Maxo?
Oh, that's right. I had somebody ask me this week if he wanted to come and see the show. One of our friend John and my friend Tom, who had come to see us a couple of times at Joe Max, and he wanted to know if we were still there. So
okay.
I said, no, and you're not allowed in my house, so you can't come and sit on my lap or whatever you want to do.
Lay the law down, Paul.
There we go. That's right. So Tom's a good sport. He'll get that one. Okay, so in Karen's state of Michigan, the Moist Towelette Museum is in Michigan. We're going to talk about that. Chupacabra attacks in
Chupacabra.
Haven't talked about chupacabras in a while. I know Karen loves the chupacabra. Montana, a naked extraterrestrial was seen there. So we're gonna. I don't think I have a picture because we're not that kind of show.
Oh, I've had it.
Let's see. A psychic who knows where the Ark of the Covenant is. More odd news and trivia. Strange sports with John DiNallo. Trivia. If we're into trivia, you'll hear a horn. And my horn has a mask on today. For those of you who are on YouTube, you can see my horn with a mask, just in case. We are, as I mentioned before, we are on YouTube. I want to mention that one more time because I do have some pictures occasionally with our story. Also, we always have a picture or two when John does his weird sports segment. So always fun to take a look at those. By all means, download us on the podcast, but take a look at us on YouTube as well. And you get to see the fun pictures we use. So always a good time. So let's get started. Speaking of pictures, so last week, we always talk about, we end the show with Bluff the co-host, everybody's favorite weird news game. And last week, there was some controversy amongst the other panelists on Bluff the co-host. That would be Karen and John, specifically John, let's get right to it, who doubted that one of the stories was real. So, and if you don't remember, it was a story about a fish driving a tank in a tank.
I still have nightmares about that, but go ahead.
So, John, I brought a couple of pictures so that you can rest easily that this is a real story. So here we are. This is the actual vehicle that the fish was riding in. So for those of you who can't see it, it looks like for those of a certain age, it looks like an erector set. Kind of a robot, a square table robot with 4 wheels. On top of that is a square aquarium fish tank with a large goldfish in it. And then on a post in the middle of the fish tank, there's a camera. And the camera has something called lidar on it. Lidar is a variation of radar that uses lasers. So that's what directs this vehicle. There's a computer that has the artificial intelligence that helps translate the goldfish's thoughts and movements into directions for the vehicle. There's a camera to make sure they don't run anybody over. And of course, water tank so the fish doesn't. Now, I actually have some pictures of the tank in motion. There you go, John. So you can see the little fish over there swimming around in front of the post. Yeah, and he is directing the vehicle to go where he wants it to go, or she. I
guess it's living proof, I guess.
Well, and if you don't believe that one, because I know you're a doubter, John, here's another one of it going down the street.
Oh, so, no.
This fish delivers pizzas, I believe. This is. Isn't that amazing?
Well, it's down the street, that's for sure. You can't.
I'll tell you what, I want that job. I wanted to, I went to my high school reunion a few months ago now, and they have a robotics lab there, something that we didn't have when we were in school. And that's the kind of stuff that kids are learning here. So I believe that there must be some scientific application for this, but
okay.
Anyways, that's it. So we don't. So John is happy. He's seen.
I am happy. I'm content.
There you go. John is content. All right. Now I do want to mention something that was in the mainstream news this week, and that was the passing of Bob Saget. Now, many of you know that I was in the comedy business for a number of years. I did stand up for a little while, but mostly as a writer for a number of comedians, for the Tonight Show and a number of other programs. I've worked with many comedians, well-known comedians. Never had the pleasure to work with or to meet Bob, but many of my friends have in the business, and the outpouring that you heard people giving towards Bob Saget on television was sincere. They all said what a wonderful guy he was, just a top-notch individual, very caring person, very, very funny guy, great actor. So I heard a lot of stories about him, but I have a the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon kind of connection. I have a second degree connection to Bob Saget. And believe it or not, it's through Bigfoot. So I wanted to mention this. Believe it or not, believe it or not, in 2010, Bob Saget was the host of Let's Go Squatching, The Search for Bigfoot. This was an actual show. Yeah, it was part of a documentary series called Strange Days with Bob Saget. It was on, I don't know what network it was on. It only lasted six episodes, not 6 seasons. You know, he was much better on Full House than he was on this show. And then, if that wasn't enough, in 2015, and I mentioned this for the lovely Donna, who stopped by here a little while ago to let us know we were online, in Hell, Michigan, a place that we have visited when we lived up there. In 2015, someone by the name of Bob Saget reported that he was camping in Pinckney, Michigan, which is where we lived. There was a back then it was way out in the middle of nowhere, as they say in Michigan, and he was camping. And at 2 a.m. in the morning, he and his friend heard a howl, something like this, except right outside of his tent. Yeah.
Wow.
And then he claims that they heard stomping and crunching through the woods. So they let's see, where was this? The Waterloo State Recreation Area. He said it was the most loud, freakiest, inhumane yell he ever heard. It was crashing through the woods, so he knew it was big. They joked about it being a Bigfoot. Then they heard that there were a lot of Bigfoot sightings in Michigan. So I don't, they have no proof that it was Bob, other than the person on Reddit signed it Bob Saget. But two connections to Bigfoot that who would have expected Bob Saget to have. Now,
absolutely,
he was also as beloved as he was, and one of the reasons why so many comedians liked him so much is because he told the dirtiest, filthiest joke you could imagine in his act, and it was such a contrast from the loving dad on Full House and the nice guy that he was when he was friends with so many people. Get him on stage and his jokes were filthy. So I don't have any filthy jokes from Bob, but I have filthy jokes from another friend of mine, the Unknown Comic, who people of our age will remember from The Gong Show, hosted by Chuck Berry back in the 60s and 70s. I've become friends with him on Facebook. I correspond with him every once in a while. Murray Langston II is his actual name. And Murray is like the comedy Kevin Bacon, 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. Murray's been around forever, and he used to be on all the variety shows, the Sonny and Cher show, the Glenn Campbell Good Time Hour. Back when there was a variety show on every network every night. So he knows everybody. So he posted a dirty joke that we can tell on What in the World, and I'm going to tell this one. So here, get ready. So here's what he says. He says, I want to be ready for this. Show me a man with 5 penises, and I'll show you a man whose underwear fits like a glove. I laughed for 10 minutes at that joke. I thought that was the most hilarious. So anyway, let's move on from that. God bless Bob Saget. Thank you for everything you did for us. Okay, so this is a big news story this week. Planters, the peanut people, division of Hormel Food. I did not realize that. They're looking, we like to advertise jobs on What in the World. They're looking for 3 peanutters, which is what they call the people who drive or ride in and go around in the Mr. Peanut Nutmobile. So I happen to have a picture. That's the Fishmobile over there. This is the Nutmobile. There we go, right there. So beautiful. We've given the hot dog, the Wienermobile, enough attention. So I thought it'd be nice to talk about the Nutmobile. 26 feet long. It goes from coast to coast on promotional visits. So they're looking for new candidates to drive and be promotional people for Mr. Peanut on the Nutmobile. Interested candidates must have a bachelor's degree, a valid driver's license, and the ability to keep a straight face when asking for directions on where you can park your nuts. So
Ah,
so that Nutmobile, by the way, is a modified 2014 Isuzu van. So I don't know if you can even get those in the United States. This thing dates back to 1935. I tried to find some of the older vehicles that they once used for it, but anyways, I thought that was a cool thing.
It's a cool.
Yeah. Now back to Michigan for a second here. Strangest museum in the world. I saw this on the news this week. The Moist Towelette Museum. And I just happen to have a picture from the Moist Towelette Museum.
oh my
Here's
God.
the display. This guy, his name is John French. He works at Michigan State University's Abrams Planetarium. So he's an astronomer type person. And his hobby is collecting moist towelettes. He's been doing it for decades. He has well over 1,000 unique moist towelettes that he has on display at the planetarium. They gave him space. He actually charges admission. He lets people in to come and see the moist towelette. And he is going all the way back to 1983.
Why can't we make money doing that?
What's that?
Why can't we make money doing that?
I know. Well, the only rule is that you're not allowed in if you just ate at KFC.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It could cause a problem. So I have to look these things up. It's a trivia time. The wet wipe is what it was originally called, was invented by Arthur Julius, not Orange Julius, but Arthur Julius in 1957. And he worked in the cosmetics business in New York City. And, women used to have to mix their own cotton balls or little paper towels with lotion in order to make things to take their makeup off. Would that be correct, Karen?
That's correct. Still do.
So what he did was he invented a machine that put just a tiny bit of lotion onto little squares of cloth or paper. I'm not sure what he used, and packaged it, and that became the first wet wipes. Now, in 1958, he patented the name, trademarked the name Wet Nap. I don't know if you remember that. That was what we used to call them all the time. 1958, he took it to the 1960 National Restaurant Show in Chicago and demonstrated it and got a big contract. And in 1963, he started selling Wet Nap products to, get ready for this, the actual Colonel Harlan Sanders from Kentucky Fried Chicken. So his first big deal, and the one that may put him on the Wet Naps map, was with Kentucky Fried Chicken. And the more I thought about that, the more I realized that I remembered that was where we first saw moist towelette. Mm-hmm. Got a bucket of chicken and you got grease all over your fingers. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So they have different kinds of moist towelettes. You're going to learn more about moist towelettes than you expected here. Besides just the ones to wash your face or the baby's butt, they have all different kinds. They have towelettes for denture cleaning, removing tar from shoes, and even, and I don't know how they make this, for wiping away radioactive contamination. How they do that, I have no idea. They actually, now this is outdated, as the lovely Donna will tell you, who's been in this business. There was a wipe specifically designed for secretaries to clean typewriter ribbon, ink, and carbon paper off of their fingers. Back in the old days, when even before the IBM Selectric, when you had typewriter ribbons, and in order to make a copy, you didn't go to the copier, you used carbon paper.
Yep.
How about that? Yeah. Now, the biggest problem with moist towelettes now is the infamous fatbergs. And I haven't talked about this in a while, but people flush moist towelettes. You're not supposed to do that. And what happens is they gather together in the sewer to plot against humanity. And they join forces with fat and grease and all that kind of stuff. And they create these monstrous blobs of fat and towelettes that have since been named fatbergs and block the sewers. And then the sewer guys have to go down, and in the meantime, you have to go to the bathroom someplace else. There was one in April of last year. 300 tons of moist towelettes and fat was removed from a sewer in the Hodge Hill area of Birmingham, England. And that's not the record, John. The record is 400 tons of fatberg, which was also removed in England. So someplace you don't want to live, England, until they figure out this fatberg deal. Another place you don't want to live, I think I can take this down here. Another place you don't want to live is San Francisco, believe it or not, despite what Tony Bennett says. But this is in a specific place. This was in the news this week. Millennium Tower, which is a beautiful, I believe it's 57 stories. Yeah, 57-story tower in downtown San Francisco is sinking and leaning. And this is an expensive place. Joe Montana lives there. Kevin Durant, all these rich people live there. It was built in 2009, so that's what, 12 years ago. It's already leaning 26 inches off of vertical, 26 inches, and is expected to lean an additional 3 inches every year until it falls over. Although they keep saying that, oh, don't move out. It's not going to fall over. I can do the math. It's going to fall over.
Wow.
So I came up with a new song for San Francisco. Here you go. I lost my lunch in San Francisco after looking out the window of the 58th floor of the Millennium Tower. That the thought of that just scares the life out of me. And I'm not a big heights person. When the lovely Donna and I lived in Texas, in Houston, she used to work in Texas Commerce Tower, which is now JP Morgan Chase Tower, 75 stories tall, tallest building in Houston, tallest building in Texas, the tallest 5-sided building, I believe, in the world. We used to take people who came to visit us up to the 75th floor where they had an observation, 73rd maybe it was. And I couldn't go near the window. It scared the daylights out of me. Anyways, so let's move on to from 75 stories up to right down in the dirt. John Deere, the tractor lawn, with a hot tractor. This is the first driverless autonomous tractor. Goes all by itself, up and down the rows, up and down the rows. You control it with your smartphone. That's where we've gone. The tractor has 6 stereo cameras, artificial intelligence, and GPS. So it can run 24 hours a day, whether it's dark, whether it's light. Tractor keeps going back and forth, back and forth. So I predict that very soon, once these things become common in farmland, we will start to see videos of scarecrows jumping off the poles and running terrified out of the field as this driverless tractor comes heading straight for them. Can you believe that? Driverless tractors? How lazy are we getting?
Oh no, but everything's gonna be driverless.
Everything. Would you ride in a driverless car, Karen?
No.
John, how about you?
No way. No way.
I agree. I'm not sold on that technology yet. I like the stuff that tells me when somebody's next to me or in front of me and too close behind. Yeah, all that avoidance stuff I think is great, but I'm not ready to turn my life over to Ford or Chevy or Yugo. I don't make Yugos anymore. Oh, there's an old reference. Hard to believe that's an old reference. Okay, so we go back to England for this one. World record time. So Guinness, British family set a Guinness World Record for the most albino siblings in a single family. Most albino siblings, brothers and sisters. The record they set. 3 brothers and 3 sisters, all affected by albinism, which is a genetic condition that they inherited from their albino parent. So at one time, there were 8 albino people all living in the same house. Full albino, pink eyes, bad vision, white hair, all that stuff. The what they did, there are many cultures that pick on albinos to the point where they kill them. Sad state of affairs. But they live in England, and what they've done, they've devoted their lives to helping the cause of albino people to help deal with these kinds of things, which is a great thing. Great thing. Two albinos who did really well: Johnny Winter and Edgar Winter. Back from our rock and roll days, the Edgar Winter Group was one of my favorite bands. Either one of you or those of you listening on the podcast, if you listen to classic radio or oldies stations, you hear two songs by the Edgar Winter Group over and over and over again. So I challenge you, John and Karen, what are those two songs by the Edgar Winter Group?
Well, the one song for sure is Frankenstein.
Frankenstein. Very good, John. And the other one is Free Ride.
All right.
Everybody knows that song.
Sure.
A little bit of trivia here. Edgar Winter and Johnny Winter were born in Beaumont, Texas, which was right down the road from Houston, Texas, where I spent many years. Now, Edgar Winter has a 6 degrees of Cleveland connection, believe it or not. Okay, so degree number 1, we start with the Edgar Winter Group. Okay, Their guitarist was a guy by the name of Rick Derringer. Okay, degree number 2, who eventually went off to form other bands. Really popular guy. Rick Derringer was a founding member of a band called the McCoys. Degree number 3.
See, I recall that.
Yeah, biggest hit of the McCoys, Hang On Sloopy. Degree number 4. Hang On Sloopy was about a woman by the name of Dorothy Sloop, a jazz singer from Steubenville, Ohio. Degree number 5. The Ohio State University Marching Band plays Hang On Sloopy at every game. Degree number 6. I knew that part, but this song has permeated the state of Ohio. The marching band plays Hang On Sloopy during the transition from the third quarter to the fourth quarter in every game. And the fans stand up and they yell, Hang On Sloopy, OHIO, instead of Sloopy Hang On. Okay, that's the big Texas, the big Ohio tradition. Not only that Hang On Sloopy is the official rock song of the state of Ohio. How about that?
Didn't know that.
That's going to help you in your next trivia contest at the bar.
Okay.
Hang On Sloopy is also a signature song for the Cleveland, formerly Indians, now the Guardians, which they play it in the middle of the 8th inning in every game. It's also played at the end of the third quarter during every Cleveland Browns game, every Cleveland Browns home game. And the Cleveland Cavaliers play it. They just pick a time. Somebody dunks, play Hang On Sloopy. So anyway, I had no idea that song had so permeated the state of Ohio. Anyway, so one more musical story here. There's a tree growing in Cameroon's Igbo forest, that a new species of tree. It's now named the Raphiopus DiCaprio. So I can pronounce the second half of its name. It's named after Leonardo DiCaprio, the famous actor who saved the rainforest that it grows in from logging. He went down there and he spent money and organized people, saved it, and they found this new tree. So the botanists were so appreciative, they named it after Leonardo DiCaprio. I thought that was pretty nice.
Yeah.
Now, I grew a tree once I found it in my yard. I had no idea what it was. I brought it in, I put it in a pot, and it grew. So I named it after a rock star, one of my favorite rock stars. I called it Plant.
Oh.
Yeah, that's it. That's a double word score there.
Yeah.
Oh my.
That's what the fishermen call leading them in, reeling them right in there. Now, another weird disease day on What in the World here. 52-year-old woman in Japan. This is in the news this week. She claimed that loud noises made her back get stiff, and she couldn't it always happened. No one could diagnose it. It would be starting in her back. It would go down to her thighs. It would cause her to be so stiff that she would fall down. So she went to doctor after doctor after doctor, and they finally found out that she has a 1 in a million autoimmune disease known as stiff persons syndrome, SPS, stiff person syndrome. Fortunately, it can be treated with sedatives that relieve the muscle stiffness. So as soon as she gets it, she takes a pill, and the stiffness goes away. Now, believe it or not, I thought that I had stiff person syndrome at one time. And I went to my doctor and I showed him, and he said, "No, you don't have it. You just need to take dance lessons. That's your problem." Yeah.
All right.
They're 2 in a row there.
And how did that work for you?
They're not very well, as the lovely Donna will attest to. Anyways, now this Karen, this one is for you. I always save the marriage stories for Karen. So let me bring the picture up here. This lady is in Las Vegas, okay, home of a lot of weird things. Well, if there's a story from Las Vegas, you guarantee it's going to be weird. So this lady, let's see if I can bring her picture up here. Her name is Kitty K. Sarah. Yeah, I doubt that she was born with that name. Kitten K. Sarah.
Yeah.
Became the first woman in history to marry a color. She married a color. Now the picture shows her with a giant, what looks like a paint swatch from the hardware store, or from the paint store. That's all pink, and she's dressed in all pink. There's a pink cake and pink shoes and pink everything here. So she said she's loved the color pink since she was a little girl. She finally decided to make it official, and she found a minister, of course, in Las Vegas. All it takes is money to marry her to that giant pink swatch. And the vows, I have a portion of the vows. Yeah, the vows that she said, for better, for worse, blah, blah, blah. In sickness and in health, until fading do us part.
Oh.
So I ask you, Karen, if you were given the opportunity. Now, I don't want to take your husband Rich out of the picture, but before he was around, given the opportunity, what color would you marry?
I cannot say it would incriminate me.
I picked green. I think green, the color of money.
Oh, for money. Yeah.
So this sounds like something that the singer Pink would do. Who's one of those modern singers. Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know anything about this lady. I know she's a very good singer. I've seen her in a number of things. Her real name is Alicia Beth Moore. She took the name Pink from a character in the movie Reservoir Dogs, Quentin Tarantino's very violent movie, Reservoir Dogs. She named herself after Mr. Pink. John, are you a fan of that movie by any chance?
Yes, it's a very, very violent movie, and I've seen it. And I'm trying to think who Mr. Pink
who played Mr. Pink?
Steve Buscemi, maybe?
Oh, very good. Steve Buscemi. Steve Buscemi played Mr. Pink. How about that? So yeah, it's kind of a weird connection for her. So I want to talk about the flat Earth donut people now. This is the hot story in the paranormal world today. So I've met some flat Earth people, and God bless them. I say, if you believe in something, everybody should believe in something. Although I have a hard time accepting that the Earth is flat is what these people believe in. So I try not to get into too many deep discussions with them. But it turns out that some flat Earth people have decided that they can't wrap their heads around it either. So they've moved on to another theory that comes from the Flat Earth Society blog. Believe it or not, there is one, the forum area on the blog. And a small but growing segment of flat earthers now believe that the Earth is actually shaped like a donut, not a jelly donut, a glazed donut, John, the kind with the hole in the middle.
Right. I'm familiar with it. Wow.
Okay, so to help you visualize this, what they believe is that the equator is the area around the outside of the donut, the circle around the outside, and the North Pole and the South Pole meet in the hole. So if you were to drive around or float around Antarctica, you would be floating around the inside of the donut hole. And if you're in the Arctic, you would be a slightly above that, also in the hole. So you got that now? So this guy,
right? Okay.
so this guy, I'll give you his name in a second because it's a part of a trivia question. He's a doctor. He calls himself a doctor. He says the Earth is shaped like a donut. I used advanced scaled astrophysical professional academic software to make a model of the geodonut, which he calls the tastiest celestial body, our sugar glazed planet Earth. So that's how it started, with a post in 2008. His name, and this should give it away, his name is Dr. Rosenpenis. Now, I had to look this up. Dr. Rosenpenis is from a movie. There was a movie back in 1995 called Fletch. Do you remember that movie?
I do remember. Yes.
Okay, starring Chevy Chase as Irwin Fletcher, I think his name was. He was a private detective. And in one scene, he is disguised as a doctor, and he's trying to get into somebody's room and see their records. So he goes into the hospital, and he walks up to the directory, and he's in front of the R's. It's in alphabetical order. And he's running down the list, and there's Rosenbaum and Rosen, there's a dozen different Rosens. And the lady at the desk behind him says, Doctor, can I help you? Doctor, as if she's leading him to say his name. And he turns around and he says, Dr. Rosenpenis. And that's it. That's where it came from. So this guy picked it. So you can guess this was a joke. This was set up as a joke on the site. And like all things, many things that get set up as a joke, it became reality. And so many people thought this actually makes sense that they started following it. So another guy, Homer Simpson, I'm surprised Homer Simpson's not on this one here. So another guy got involved with it. Varag is his name. And he says that the Earth is shaped like a torus. Now, he's trying to impress us because a torus is a mathematical term for the donut shape. Mm-hmm. And he got into this big, long discussion on how light curves around it. And I put it in my Mysterious Universe article if anybody's interested in reading about it. But basically, before, John, you say, well, how come when I look at if the Earth, why isn't Mars a donut, Venus, or Saturn? Why aren't there other donuts out there? All we ever see is same logic that people use with the flat Earth. If Earth is flat, why isn't Venus flat? So the Discovery Channel actually devoted time to this because people are so serious about it. And they explained that the donut Earth does not break any laws of physics, but it might not be too stable. like the people who believe in this. I'm sorry.
Why did it explain? I understand that.
It's a gravitational thing. The gravity of the inside, there would have to be two different sources of gravity in order to keep the hole, help the hole maintain its shape. And in order to do that, we'd end up having different gravity all over Earth. So you could be in Ohio and feel like you weighed 600 pounds, and then you go to California and you feel like you weigh 100 pounds. So obviously that doesn't happen. Also, the donut, to have that kind of gravity, would have to spin, the Earth would have to spin like 4 or 5 times as fast as it does now. So the day would be much shorter than it is. And so, so science disproves it. However, that doesn't mean that anybody believes. If you believe that the Earth is shaped like a donut, science doesn't mean much to you. So anyways, so that's, I don't need to put a picture of a donut up for you, do I?
No,
I don't think so.
We know what it looks like.
We know what a donut looks like.
It's a big Paul. Yeah.
I hope I don't offend any donut believer, donut Earth believer.
Aficionados.
All I could say is try try donut holes. Those are round. Maybe take a bag of those and study those before you start believing the glazed donut theory. All right. So we've got. Oh, I want to talk a little bit about chupacabras here for Karen. So this one, this story, there's not a whole lot funny in this one. I probably shouldn't end with this one, but there's a rancher in northern Argentina. His name is Hugo Valenzuela. Sounds like a baseball player, And at third for the Guardians, Hugo Valenzuela. So he says he finds 3 dead cows in his field. They all have clean cuts, no trace of bleeding, nothing that it looks like the cows just kind of fell over dead, and they were missing their tongue, their udders, and their reproductive organs. Jeez. So not a good thing. No, yeah, really. So, and very close to where a residential area, like 400 yards from residential houses. So he doesn't think it was dogs or hawks or vultures because there were no tracks around, there were no feathers, nothing like that. There were also no footprints. So there's no footprints around these cows. They're just dead. They're dead. So of course it must be the chupacabra. Now, there were no chupacabra footprints either. I don't know how they get around explaining that. Just a little aside for those of you who are asking that question in your head. I thought about that too. Some people blame aliens, okay, instead of chupacabras when they find cows in this kind of state. And I've done stories about Argentina where they think that. But the best one is the actual veterinarians in Argentina who don't believe in aliens. They don't believe in chupacabra. What they believe is that those cows were brought down and their tongues and their udders were taken away from them and their blood by mice.
No.
Yeah, there's a mouse, but hear me out. There's a mouse called the Hosacudos, which is a long-nosed mouse. I don't want to get that close to tell if a mouse has a long nose. I thought they all had long noses, but I digress. This is a scavenger mouse. So they eat, they're like vultures. They eat dead things. And they like the soft parts of dead animals. So the veterinarians are trying to convince these cattle ranchers that, no, it's not aliens and it's not chupacabras. It's these little mice that are bringing down your 1,000-pound cows and sucking all their blood out and eating their udders. And the farmers aren't buying this. They're not buying this at all. So some of them, I was reading some of the comments, and there's other people are reporting it now that they've seen UFOs over the fields where the cows were found. The cattle were perfectly healthy before they found them. There was lights above them, for UFOs. So they haven't heard any howling or anything to verify that it's the chupacabra. But don't blame the mice, blame the chupacabra. That's the rule in Venezuela when you find a dead cow.
Okay. Well, I don't know, Paul. That's a very strange story, but very believable.
Yeah, it is. I think that I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I want to mention. I'm going to go out on a psychic. So Uri Geller, we talked about him last week. This is this famous psychic, the spoon bender, they call him. Right. He started out on the Tonight Show bending spoons as a magician. All of a sudden, he calls himself the world's greatest psychic. So he claims that he knows where the Ark of the Covenant is located. And the way he found it, he has a museum in Israel. And the museum is in an old building. It's a 1,000-year-old building. And underneath it is a soap factory from the Ottoman Empire. And so he's doing remodeling. So like anybody who does remodeling, he gets a dowsing stick. Now, dowsing sticks are those 2 sticks, like a Y-shaped stick that farmers use to find well water on their farms. Used to see it on Green Acres all the time. Yep. Shows like that. Sure. The people who believe in it swear by it. They're like the flat earthers. So he goes down in the basement with his dowsing stick and starts looking around his ancient soap factory. And something happened that convinced him he knows where the Ark of the Covenant is. Now, the Ark of the Covenant you know, it was the gold, the wooden box covered in gold. Supposedly the original stone tablet 10 commandments are in there. They came from God to Moses. That's the general belief for those of you, those 5 people who don't know what the Ark of the Covenant is. Said to have ended up in Solomon's temple in 587 BC, and it was destroyed when Jerusalem was destroyed. So there's many theories. It could be in Ethiopia. There's people who believe there's a church in Ethiopia that has it. A cave in Africa has the Ark. A church in France claims it has the Ark. The Basilica of St. John in Rome claims it has the Ark. And according to Indiana Jones and Steven Spielberg, there's a warehouse in Washington, D.C. where the Ark is stored. You know, no one knows, no one can say. So Uri Geller claims that he knows where it is. And it's interesting that it's him because, and that it's, he found it while dowsing, because dowsing goes back to Germany in the 1500s. And that's where it was invented. And so another thing that also happened in the 1500s was Martin Luther came out with his 99 Theses and his various problems with the Catholic Church. And one of the things he said is that dowsing was against the first commandment, okay, because it's using a false god to find well water. Hey, do you follow me there? So
I'm following it. Yeah.
Okay, so Uri Geller is violating the first commandment while looking for the first commandment, which means if he finds it, he's going to end up like the Nazis in Raiders of the Lost Ark, and he's going to open it up and break the first commandment and melt. And I want to have a camera there somehow. We need to be there for that.
Oh boy, that's some scene, by the way.
One more thing on Uri Geller. I want to bring up a picture of him, and then we're going to switch over to sports here. He has one claim to fame that goes along with his spoon bending. Outside of his museum in Israel is the world's largest spoon. There you go. There's a picture of it. It looks like it's probably about 60 feet long, and it's bent, of course, has to be bent. Yeah. It's bent twice. And there's a big sign that says, "Don't touch my spoon," I think, in Hebrew. Yeah. Oh. So anyways, on that note, let's go to our favorite spoon bender, John DiNallo, with sports. What in the world of sports? Now every week, holy smoke, I'm gonna step out for a second here while John is doing sports. Every week I ask John to come up with a weird sport for us, something that our podcast listeners have never heard of, maybe something that fits the season, which is winter. So I asked him to look for maybe a winter sport this time, maybe something that we could all participate in. And John, you know, he tries. he's good on the weird.
But the participation part, it's tough.
The participation is tough. I agree with you, John. Okay, so there's a possibility that we could participate in this sport with enough adult beverages involved.
Oh, yeah. We definitely need a lot of adult beverage, I think.
There you go, John. Why don't you tell us what the sport is? And I have to take something off my printer here and get us set with some photo. Go right ahead.
No, thanks, Paul. Sure. So our sport today is walk racing.
Did you not race walking? Walk racing.
Walk racing. W-O-K racing.
Okay.
Yes, there is a walk racing world championship event, and the sport.
Now this is not W-A-L-K. This is
W-O-K.
W-O-K. The pan.
Oh, is the cooking
the pan? Yeah.
The cooking
walk racing. Ah.
Yeah. Walk.
Wait, folks. Here.
I guess that's pronounced walk, right, Karen? Walk, not walk. Walk.
No, it's walk. Walk. Walk.
Sorry,
walk.
John. I mean, poor John. Poor John puts up with us every week as we attempt to understand this very simple sport.
I have a very weird statement about this sport, though.
Okay.
All right. It's really popular, and not in China, not in Japan, but in Germany.
Germany.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Walk racing is what it implies. Competitors jump on a modified Chinese walk and head down an Olympic bobsled track
Oh
as
my
far as
God.
their speed and gravity will take them.
On a bobsled. So your
That's
butt's in the walk on
right.
a bobsled track.
So
Wow.
you may be curious as to how did this sport come about?
Yeah, I
Adult
am.
beverages.
Well, of course, walk racing was developed in Winterberg, Germany in 2003 by the internationally known German TV host and entertainer Stefan Raab.
Oh,
And
of course.
Stefan Raab, it was part of his late night TV show called TV Total. For future reference, Rob also invented Autoball EM, which is soccer football played in cars and using an exercise ball to score goals.
Oh,
So
we got it. Well,
he's an
okay.
innovator. He truly is an innovator. Okay, I don't know how practical, but he's an
You
innovator.
could call him that. Yeah.
Exactly. So, so walk racing is a simple sport. As you can see, this Jen here is doing it. It requires a bobsled track, a walk, and a butt seated in it. The typical racing walks are ordinary round bottom cooking pans, and they are imported from China. The only modifications are that the bottom is reinforced with an epoxy filling, and the edges of the wok are coated with a polyurethane foam to avoid injuries. Taking this into account so the participants don't get hurt. Now, although it started with just a single walk, the sport now includes four-person walk sleds consisting of two pairs of walks held together by a rounded frame and connected by a coupling.
There
So
you
it's
go.
put together. It's put together. Now, but the sport is very dangerous, and due to the rather risky nature of the sport, participants, as you can see, wear heavy protective gear similar to ice hockey equipment. To further reduce friction and the risk of injuries, along with sticking to the cooking nature of the equipment, the athletes wear ladles under their feet.
This
Wow.
picture here, you don't really notice it until you hear that's what those are. You can see that this gentleman sliding on his butt on a walk in a bobsled track has, not only does he have ladles on his feet, he has ladles on his hands too.
Yes. Mhm.
And the handles are bent. He must have stopped to see Uri Geller before this and got his ladles bent mentally for luck.
Oh my gosh.
He's
So
wearing.
I'm sorry.
Wow,
And just like the
unbelievable.
walks, I'm sorry, Paul, but just like the walks that you will find in your favorite Chinese restaurant, the undersides of the racing walks are heated with a torch to make them slide down the ice faster. There are no brakes on the walks, so competitors have to wear ice spikes to stop at the end.
Wow.
So there is some dexterity involved, some ability here, obviously. Now, in November of 2003, the first official Walk World Championship hosted by Rob was broadcast live to a primetime television audience of millions of German TV watchers and
Prime
over
time.
6,000 spectators in the Olympic Sliding Center in Innsbruck.
Wow.
So 6,000 people showed up to see this. And then it became so popular that the second World Championship in Innsbruck in 2004 was more like walk racing with the stars, as B-list celebrities, musicians, and actors competed with professionals like three-time Olympic luge champion George Hockel and the Jamaican bobsled team, if you remember. Cool
Oh
runnings.
yeah, this is a picture of
Okay.
George here. George is in the red and Rob is in the yellow here.
There you go. The third championship took place again in Winterberg in 2005 and introduced a new round, a qualifying round, in which the participants had to ride their walks down a trick ski jump, yes, into a deep pool of water, with their distance determining the starting order.
Oh my God.
Now, that takes some guts, if you ask me.
So okay, you could
Going
call
in-
it guts.
Anyway, so as you know, the Cup has been held annually, and then of course in 2003, Rob, of course, won the gold.
Wow. Yeah. Well, he invented it. Yeah.
Well, he admitted he's going to win it. In most other years, the gold medal went to Jorg Hackel again.
Wow.
The German Luger, not the gun, who was three-time Olympic and world champion.
Wow.
But upsets do occur as they do in all sports. In 2006 and 2014, the gold went to Joey Kelly, a very talented and a very brave singer from Ireland. There he is.
This guy, here's a video of a guy on a walk going down the going. I'm not sure if this is Kelly or
It looks like it may be Kelly. I'm not sure either.
maybe Kelly. Yeah, going to that is one of the more frightening things I've ever seen in sport. And the bobsled is pretty scary to begin with, but
I think so.
going down on a walk is not.
Wow.
No, it's dangerous. While racing walks are modified for safety, some purists would like the sport to switch back to the authentic cooking walks for the obvious sponsorship tie-ins, and so they could be used to stir fry some celebratory kung pao chicken afterwards.
Oh, that's a good idea.
About food. It's all about food, folks. So there you go.
There you go. Get a moist towelette, clean out the wok.
Very good. Very good. Oh.
Well, I know none of us would put our butts in one of those little.
We're not
woks.
doing that one, folks. I don't think so.
I did find a wok that we could fit in if we wanted to do a group effort. There's a look at that. Look at the size of that.
Oh,
wok.
wow.
Okay.
How long would it take you to eat all that food?
I don't know. We're looking at a wok that's probably about 8 or 9 feet across in
Easy.
diameter,
Oh, yeah.
filled with I hope that's shrimp, an ocean's worth of shrimp there. So
Hope it's not insect.
I don't know. Anyways, wok racing, from Germany of all places. John DiNallo comes up with another sport that is just beyond belief.
Oh my gosh.
And definitely, if we participated in that sport, we'd sound like this. Yeah.
If we were lucky to sound like that.
Okay, all right. Well, so when we're finished with What in the World of Sports with John, that means it's time for Bluff the Co-host, everybody's favorite weird news game. It's what Karen has been waiting for, and John, of course. Now, Karen is coming off of a victory last week.
Yes.
So John
Karen.
He's been practicing all week. So
I have been.
If you haven't heard the sport before or the show before, Bluff the Co-host is filled with 3 stories similar to the ones that we've been telling all afternoon, with one big difference, and that is that the stories I've been telling up until now were real. In Bluff the Co-host, some may be real, some may be bluff. It's up to Karen, John, and you playing on the podcast to determine what they are. Wagering is allowed. John and Karen, hands on the buzzers. Let's get right to story number 1. We've heard of drug sniffing dogs and bomb sniffing rats, but a woman in California has a new one. She has trained her cat to sniff for bargains. While she won't explain how she did it, she happily demonstrates to local TV news shows how she takes her companion cat grocery shopping with her. As she walks slowly down the aisle, the cat sits in the basket and looks at the shelves. When the cat sees a bargain, it bats its paw in the direction of the product. And believe it or not, it's usually the cheapest one on the shelf. The woman is hoping to market her cat scanner training program to other cat owners looking for bargains and a better way to bond with their cats. So the lady in California who has a cat scanner that is actually her cat looking for bargains while she's out grocery shopping. Karen, what do you say? Real or bluff?
Gosh, this is
Remember, it's California.
Yeah, it's California. But I'm going to say bluff. It just is not logical enough.
Okay, I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it at that. Karen says it's a bluff. John, what about you?
I agree. I think it's a bluff. How can a cat do that? I'm in California.
I knew there was.
Yeah, cats are smarter in California.
Is that it?
Crazy. It's another crazy story.
Okay, all right. So the cat scanner, Karen and John both say it's a bluff. Let's check with the judges, and the judges say, "Congratulations, that was a bluff."
Yes. Very good. Okay, up to a good start. Very good.
Okay, score 1-1. Let's get right into it. Hands on the buzzer. Let's get right to story number 2. Also following a similar theme. We've heard of fish falling from the sky, frogs, meteors, frozen airplane poop, and even cows falling from the sky. But a town in England has a new one, beans. Residents of Hamilton ended 2021 by looking out of the window on December 29th to see their yards, their roofs, their cars, and everything else outside being drenched with a downpour of beans and bean husk. Some brave and hungry people walked outside with their mouths open and decided that these were soybeans, which led them to a local plant where the manager said he had nothing to do with it and it'll never happen again. They eventually found out that the bean rain happened there when a dust collector got plugged up and eventually broke and blasted the beans into the air over Hamilton. The bean rain won't be made into a musical, but it may be on the Food Channel. All right, so John and Karen, bean rain in Hamilton, England. What do you say, real or bluff? John, we'll go with you.
You know, I want to say it's real because I can kind of imagine something weird like that happening.
Okay. After an hour of this show, you can imagine just about anything.
Just about, yeah.
No, I'm going to say it's true.
So John says it's so weird it has to be true. How about you, Karen?
Oh, jeez.
Bigfoot, that was a Bigfoot moan. Beans falling down. Walk outside with your mouth open, like you're catching snowflakes when we used to have snow.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Even Linda thinks it's real. I'll go real.
Oh, so you're going with text chick. Okay.
Yeah.
Text
yeah.
chicken. So that means 3 people all say that it's real.
Yeah.
Let's check with the judges. And the judges say all 3 of you are right. Wow.
Yay!
Holy smokes. So that's 2 in a row. Whoo.
Oh, man,
On
we're
a
getting
roll,
off-
as they say in Hamilton, England, when they're catching beans on a roll. Okay, so scores 2-2. Points it doesn't matter, but points are doubled in round number 3. But whoever gets this one right is the winner. Could be a tie. So let's get right to it. Hands on the buzzer, John and Karen. Story number 3. A pub in England has been told to grin and bear it, but the owner of the Bear Inn is frowning and not accepting an order from the local government to paint the giant white polar bear mascot on his roof brown, because there aren't any polar bears in England. There aren't any brown bears either. They've been extinct for decades, but that didn't satisfy the local counselor, who said paint Snowy a brown color or move him to another location where he doesn't stick out like a white thumb amongst the other brown buildings in the area. Fortunately, a group of local Snowy the Bear lovers collected enough names on a petition to save Snowy from getting a makeover or a move over. Snowy the Bear being ordered to be painted brown because there's no polar bears in England. Real or bluff? What do you say, Karen?
That better be a bluff. Leave poor Snowy alone.
That's our motto. Leave poor
Yeah.
Snowy alone. Okay, leave Snowy alone. Karen says it's a bluff. John, how about you?
You know, I think it's enough of a story to be real. I'm going to say it's real.
So we have a controversy here. So Karen says it's a bluff. John says it's real. Let's check with the judges, see how the weird stories from England are doing today. And the judges say, congratulations, John, that's a real story.
Oh, wow.
You got it.
Oh,
Wow.
wow. That's right. Yeah.
It's not nice. Snowy
Big,
should
cute-
be
oh,
white.
it's
I would agree, Karen. It's not a nice, but it's sometimes.
Not
it's
at all. No, not at all. No. Yeah, and it does.
Yeah, I
It's
agree with you.
it's a
I'm with you.
big, giant white polar bear, and it's up against the brown building, and you could see it would disappear if they painted it brown. So good for them. Good for John. Congratulations.
Yeah.
John, that means John will have a good week this week.
I won't be torturing Annette with all
Yep.
these questions again, so I can
Good.
be.
I'm glad to hear that. I know she'll thank me next time I see her. Wow, that was a quick what in the world this week. I want to thank Karen Hale, as always, the media mogul and our co-host at newclevelandradio.net. Thank you for everything you do for us. Please go to newclevelandradio.net. Check out What in the World. Especially check us out on YouTube, and like us and follow us. Or subscribe. I'm sorry, subscribe to our channel. Download us on whatever platform you like, and then check out some of Karen's other podcasts. They're all great. And a special thanks to John DiNallo, my old friend. Great sports story again. And as always, thanks for your color commentary.
You're welcome, Paul. It's been a lot of fun. It's always it's fun every week.
Yes, it is. And you make it funner. But people who really make it fun is all those of you out there listening to the podcast. We want to thank you once again for being with us and having a good time with us. I hope that that's what you're doing. Stop by again next week. Download some of the older shows if you're looking for a pick-me-up. We always have a good time. We always have weird stories, and hopefully our fun comes over the airwaves to you, and you get in a better mood at the end. So on that note, I want to thank everybody. We will see you next week for another edition of What in the World.
And everybody across the country, stay safe with the snowstorms, the cold weather, and whatever.
Except in
Have
the
a great
Southern
day.
Hemisphere. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.